Welcome. My name is Dana Citron. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Orbital Fire Cybersecurity, and welcome to the Women Leaders in Manufacturing podcast. We're sponsored by LIMET, the Long Island Manufacturing Extensive Partnership, and I have to say I'm so excited. I have been saying in all the other of these series that the Executive Director, Amy Erickson, is going to be on with us, and finally she is. Amy, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be able to do this podcast series, and thank you so much for interviewing all of our candidates and for hosting it.
This has been so exciting and just an opportunity to meet so many very impressive
Isn't it nice?
women. I mean,
They
just
right here on Long Island.
so many of them. And we're here in beautiful Stony Brook University, within the Office of Research and Innovation. I want to make sure I give them a thank you for all the work that they're doing for this podcast as well.
Yes, that's true.
Now, Amy, you and I first met at a Fuse Hub alignment program that you were working on. And from there, we've kicked off just a wonderful collaboration. And I just enjoy our conversation so much. So I've been looking forward to this. I would love to start it out. If you can first tell everybody a little bit about it.
Oh, I'd love to. So Lineup is the Long Island Manufacturing Extension Partnership, or the Long Island MEP. And the MEP is a federal program administered by the Department of Commerce, and NIST administers it. It's the NIST MEP program. And every state has an MEP center. New York State is very special in that we have subrecipients. And so we've got 11 centers in New York State, and the Long Island MEP covers Nassau and Suffolk counties. And I work with small and mid-sized manufacturers. And I actually go on their production floors. I listen to their pains, what they would like to do, how we can innovate for them. And I've worked on many a production floor. I've worked with over 300 companies here on Long Island.
So impressive. And what I love about your background and just coming, certainly that's not the first time you've been on a manufacturing floor. I know, first off, you come from four generations of engineers. Can we start off telling, our viewers, how did that early exposure to engineering really influence, the way you look at manufacturing?
Thank you. I love that question because as we were interviewing the women over the past several days, that came up a few times in terms of legacy. So my grandmother's brother invented the flow meter. My father is a civil engineer. I am chemical. My son, Andrew, fourth generation, has a dual engineering degree. So all of that engineering, growing up in that kind of environment, solving problems, palling around with my dad, which Joan Gladke had said in another podcast, all of that influenced my direction into engineering. And being good at math and science helps.
That's true. It is an important piece of it, right? And, so from getting to know you over these last couple of years, I see it all the time and the things that you talk about. You're an engineer to the core. And from leading engineers and being an engineer for the last 33 years before moving to economic development, what are you most proud of in that time?
A couple of things. My career essentially is in microelectronics for products that were put on satellites, manned and unmanned satellites in the satellite communications industry, SATCOM. I worked in a clean room and developed processes. All of our product was manufactured under a microscope. That was just such a sophisticated technology that I got to be in for all of these years, these 30 years. It's been outstanding. So, having a secret security clearance and knowing that I'm making a product that goes on a satellite is very special. And the other thing that I'm also very proud of is through the years being promoted to the level of vice president, a VP of engineering. That was just something that I didn't see because there weren't all that many women in my profession. And so for me, that was a wonderful accomplishment. That was kind of the pinnacle of my career. I was very thrilled with that point.
Especially, like you said, when you don't see others that look a lot like you around you to be able to achieve those things and help to break precedents.
Well, I will say it was very special in microelectronics because in the microelectronics industry, and I worked in at three companies that were microelectronics for SATCOM. It wasn't a function of women versus men. It was a function of were you a good engineer? And I saw that in a company that I worked for 8 years in the South, Electromagnetic Sciences. And I saw that in the two New York, Long Island-based companies. And so that was very much the culture of this particular industry, of the microelectronics serving the federal industry.
How do you think that experience really shaped your approach to mentoring other women that are coming into manufacturing and to help at Lineup to create this inclusive manufacturing culture?
So that was always a part of me. So when I started my career, I had wonderful mentors that were very welcoming, that wanted me to excel, that wanted, that definitely wanted me to be the engineer on the high-rel product line. I had an R&D facility. I worked with the design engineers. I optimized processes. There was just no limit. They offered me everything, every opportunity. So I had wonderful mentors throughout my career. And that, to me, was critical. And it also gave me the mindset to always help and mentor young women. And so that's something I did very early in my career, where before it was STEM, it was the Schools to Career initiative. And so I worked with lots of school districts as a volunteer and bringing in other professionals to speak to young women at the middle school and the high school level. It was critical that they could see that, not to hide their math aptitude or their science aptitude. And that was critical. And then I worked with STEM and, throughout the years, as many initiatives, starting with WLVA and ADAPT, Women Leaders in Defense and Aerospace.
That's right. And I know we're both members of ADAPT, and that's just such a great organization, an important organization, I think, for supporting aerospace and defense manufacturers in Long Island. And the WLDA has done a lot to really highlight and help advocate for those women in the industry.
It's been a wonderful ADAPT. It's been a wonderful partnership for the Long Island MP. I knew about it. I was active in ADAPT, back in my earlier days when I was, my engineering at AIL systems. So it was just a natural progression over the years. And I'm so thrilled to be working, to have ADAPT as a partner for the Long Island MP.
It's wonderful. Now, you lead the charge in helping manufacturers on Long Island innovate and succeed. What gets you most excited about your work?
Oh, well, I happen to love this whole idea of manufacturing, solving problems every day. It is no days the same. There's always a different problem to optimize. There's always a different problem to resolve. And as I go into the different facilities, my years of experience, it's valuable because I'm able to work with them to hear their pains and where they want to grow. And so all of that kind of fits together very nicely. And we are able to innovate and make changes for our manufacturers.
What kind of challenges do you see those Long Island manufacturers facing? And how does Lineup help them overcome this?
Well, the number one challenge they often say, Casey and I usually say this as well, for this, workforce development, having a trained workforce. But the other thing is, enticing individuals into the workforce. So we're working very hard on Long Island to try to change that perspective of a manufacturing, a career in manufacturing. And so early on when I was working with these schools to help the young students look at engineering, I would always tell my colleagues who were going in to speak, and I did it myself, we have to go in as our most glamorous selves to discuss engineering. And, we would have to, I would say, we have to have our nails done, we have to have our makeup on, no eyeglasses that day. I wanted really women not to think of it as a kind of this, typical engineer who, maybe doesn't speak a lot, and what is it? They had all their pens.
Pocket protector.
To see that this is all about problem solving, and it's innovative, and it's interesting and challenging. There is nothing boring about this. And when you're creating a product in a prototype lab, working with a design engineer, and then developing, optimizing it so that you can hand it off over to the production operation, all of that is so exciting to me. And so I wanted women to be a part of that.
So what patterns do you see when it comes to women in leadership here? Do you see particular challenges that they need to overcome still, or the things that you've seen change about recently?
Well, that's a great question. I love it. I always feel, and I've always said this, you have to do your best. You've got to do above and beyond. You've got to be ready. You have to anticipate what the question is going to be and the answer. And that is critical, I think, to develop yourself, to have the answers that you need for your senior leadership team. I do see, because my son is graduating engineering school, more women that are enrolled. The patterns that I'm seeing is that it wasn't always open, right? I was kind of a pioneer. There weren't a lot of female engineers when I came to engineering school here at Stony Brook. So the patterns initially were that women weren't in this field. Now, as we're coming into the field, more and more opportunities are presenting themselves. And we're moving forward, we're moving along. But we've got the women that have been successful must mentor the younger women in the organization and bring them along. That mentoring is very critical.
So I recently interviewed Teresa Ferraro from East West Industries, and something that she had said early on when she took the helm at her, manufacturing organization, is that when she would first come in, she wouldn't see other women in the room when she would meet with the primes.
No, it was never saw other women. This is true.
Yeah, and to come in, she had to, she always thought it was so important to show, just how much she knew and her passion about what she was doing, and just to make it easier to break those barriers through.
You had to be prepared, super prepared. And just as I said, always anticipate the question and have the answer ready.
Yeah.
And that to me always demonstrated my preparedness. Know the military standards. Understand who our customer was. Understand, manufacturing the product. And being able to discuss that and articulate that in our customer meetings. Our meetings were Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Alenia, all of the satellite customers. We might have a table of, 20 people, and I would be the single female there. And so that is a pattern that my colleagues have mentioned. But it's going to change, and it's already changing.
And we are hearing across these interviews, and I look forward to everyone watching these podcasts, listening to these podcasts, because you are seeing that change, that everybody's seeing through their careers, and it's very encouraging.
Part of starting the WLDA for women in manufacturing was to bring them in, to make them feel more welcome at the ADAPT meetings, creating lineup networking events that will pull the women in, and just start those kind of relationships, those easygoing conversations to help them grow their businesses. Because that's what this is about, creating opportunities for them to increase their revenue, work with their workforce, create jobs or sustain their workforce. all of that is critical. So just having an opportunity for the women to come together, that to me is critical.
Do you have any success stories? You've seen a lot of manufacturers in your role. Lymac was an AP. Any that in particular stand out to you that inspired any?
Well, this whole series is dedicated to aerospace and defense.
Yep.
So one company in particular, we went in and did a lean initiative for them. Their contract required them to have a certain amount of output per day, and they were outputting 75 units. And with working with that company through a lean process, developing a work cell for them and laying out their workforce slightly differently, educating their team players, we brought that up to 120 units of output per day, which was a big jump. And then we got their work in process, their WIP, down from 756 pieces down to just shy of 100 pieces.
Right.
So all of that helped. And then the other success behind that is they brought us in to do other lean projects at other facilities that they're affiliated with. And they liked the results.
I'm sure. No doubt. And it's got to be such a proud moment for you, right? Just as an organization.
It's what the MEP is about.
Yeah.
That's just what we're here to help small, mid-sized manufacturers. And that's a testament to, the program and what the program wants. And then the other asset is all that Stony Brook University can offer. I'm able to bring manufacturers in, work with, our laboratories, our mechanical engineering labs or a rapid prototype laboratory, and offer the facilities that we have here. We're a powerhouse university, and it's wonderful to be able to bring them in and offer what we have here on campus as well.
There are a lot of tools in your toolbox.
I like how you say that. I have a lot of tools in my toolkit. Yeah.
I love that. Well, it isn't always easy. And that many times, I know you have challenges every day. How do you stay motivated, kind of as you advocate for change, really, in this industry and support and advocate for your manufacturers?
So how do I stay motivated?
Yeah.
So I've got 33 years of experience being in industry. And then working with the clients here, our manufacturers on Long Island. It's so easy to stay motivated because I've got all of these technologies that I'm conversant in, have firsthand knowledge of. My product line required plating, it required electron beam welding, it precision manufacturing for, parts. So familiar with machine shops. I worked in a clean room under a microscope. Such a variety of, I worked with my gallium arsenide chips and metallization schemes and all of that I learned and worked on. When you walk into a facility, it's also familiar to me as I walk their floor and see what they're doing. So it's so easy for me to stay motivated because every place I go to is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I love to see the variety. I love to see who's better organized, where we need to help another company. I think it's just that I felt so successful and happy in my career that I'm so happy then to bring that skill set to our manufacturers on Long Island and work with them. And it's a passion. Like I want to help them. It's just so easy for me to walk in and see what it is we can do. Because if this, I don't want to say struggling, but they're working hard every day fighting the fire. And sometimes it's nice to have someone come in and say, yeah, I can help you. Let me take that one on for you.
Now, if you have to speak with, and I know you do, a high school student, a young woman that said she was interested in engineering, what advice would you give her?
Oh, that's easy. I would tell her, stick with your math and stick with your science. If possible, when you want, if this is your career path, go to a school that specializes in engineering. And to be sure, too, like there's also a beautiful component to liberal arts, right? But when you go down that engineering track, it's a full track of technical.
Yeah.
It really is. I think for women now, the young ladies in high school, moving into college, it's a very different mindset because I have a young son and I see they're working on STEM projects or science Olympiad or a robotics team. It's so, it's so inclusive now. So I would just say, hey, if this is something you're passionate about or you're interested, explore that interest. Keep continuing to explore it. And as high schools have so many programs now that provide that opportunity to both, to their student body, young men, young women, to see if that's where they want to pursue a college education and a career in engineering and manufacturing.
There's so many opportunities for them once they get out of college. I mean, just the world is wide open with that type of a degree.
Oh, yes, I would agree. But both for myself and I see it in my son, the opportunities that are open. I see it in New York State. New York State wants, is very about AI. For the AI industry, for the manufacturers, the chips facility that the Governor Hochul is, expanding upon, the chips manufacturing. There's so much innovation and that push in New York State. So there's so much opportunity for young students as they go from college if they stay in New York State. And I think that is the whole idea. We have such interesting technology and advancements here.
Amy, first, thank you for everything that you do. I mean, I get to see this, from the sidelines. I know we're involved with Lineup, and we so value that, just that association and just my time with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this for us.
This is great. And so we appreciate it, and thank you for all your time so we can hear a little bit more about you.